G'day everybody, welcome back to Revit 2016 and our Project B. So remember, this is the project where our goal is to build a double-storey residential dwelling. And the first thing we did, apart from setting up a template, was that we imported a CAD file, an AutoCAD file, very simple one, but it's a very simple survey, okay, for the purposes of understanding where our borders were and where, what our levels are. Okay, so just remember, this is a metric tutorial. Okay, so we deal in metric numbers, so apologies to my viewers in the States, but the conversion between metric and imperial shouldn't be too bad. Anyway, let's get cracking. So, like I said, we've got this file now. We've got a very small block or a site, okay, about 30 meters by about 14. Okay, and we've got some reduced levels in the corner. Okay, just some basic information. Okay, so what we need to do, the best thing that I find to do is actually to create what we call property lines or boundary lines, and it gives us something to snap onto, but also gives us our constraints with regards to where our Toposurface really needs to go. Okay, so where do we go to get our Toposurface information? Okay, so if we go to our ribbon at the top, okay, so smack bang in the middle, we have a tab there called Massing and Site. So let's click on there. Okay, so this is a ribbon that is broken up into two distinct halves. Okay, so on the left hand side here we have some massing tools. Okay, and on the right hand side we have some site tools, okay, some modeling sites and then modifying the site. Now this is Revit 2016, so it's the full version. If we were in Revit LT, we would not see the conceptual mass side of things. That is not available to us in Revit 2016. Okay, so in 2016 we just see a site tab and we just see this piece here. Okay, so in here, okay, like I said, we've got model site and we've got modify site. So the very first thing I want to do is I want to go and I want to create some property lines, okay, which is just basically around the perimeter of our project site. Okay, so I'm just going to left click on this property line icon here, and it's gonna, Revit will always ask and says, right, do you want to create by entering distances and bearings, top line there, or create by sketching? If you know the distances and bearings, and if you're drawing something from scratch, then by all means you can go in here. I find the reality in the industry, if you're doing a job, I suppose what I believe the correct way of doing things is that you, for most projects, you would have either done a site survey yourself or you would have engaged a surveyor, and they would have already supplied a CAD file, a la what we've already got here. So what we can do is we can now just go create by sketching rather than having to create this whole thing in here. So I might leave this one here, create by entering distances and bearings. I might actually just leave that for another Revit guru or someone else to have a crack at, because it's not something that I really do. I've never had to really deal with it. So I'm just going to now go create by sketching. Okay, now we're going to see that our CAD files will grayed out because we are in sketch mode. Okay, and we've got our drawing tools here. So all we need to do is basically pick up these 4 lines here. So it's a nice simple one. Now I could just draw the lines there, or being a perfect rectangle I could use my rectangle tool there. But today what I want to do is show you another little nifty little tool called the Pick Lines tool. Okay, so it's this one here. It's a little arrow with overlaying a line, and what this does is basically literally does what it does. It says it picks lines. So if I click on that, So what it does is that Revit will look for lines, arcs, pre-existing information. So now all I need to do now, so there we go, hover over a line, it's found something, left click, drop, okay, and it's just adapted itself, so I'll do it again, it adapts itself perfectly to the lines and arcs and curves that are already there. So this is really good and really handy if we are using survey plans and we might be in a cul-de-sac or a court where we've got road curves, all that sort of stuff. The pick lines is perfect because we adapt exactly what is there. And rule of thumb when it comes to surveys, we've paid them to do the job accurately, so we adhere to what they've done. Okay, so pick lines, very valuable tool. Okay, we've done all that. Now I'll just go left click to finish the edit mode. Right, now what appears to have happened is nothing. Okay, and what there it is there. Ooh, okay, but what it is that we've still got the CAD file, but if I hover over this, okay, what we can see is if I zoom in a bit better, there we go, hover over, we can see some sort of dark blue dashed lines, and they are the property lines that we've just created. Okay, now another little snippet of information here. If we have more than one element or elements overlaying each other in Revit, if you want to isolate them, what we do is we flick through the tab key. So if I go hover, okay, so there's my property lines. If I just tap the tab key, just tap, okay, now it's picked up the CAD file. Okay, now I could go left click and select the CAD file instead. Okay, so that's how we sort of select, like I said, that's how we select overlaid elements within Revit. Okay, so that's the property lines in. Let's just assume that we know exactly where they are right now, okay, that they're in the correct place. The next thing we want to do now, we've got our property lines, is now we wanted to create a topo surface. Okay, and this is the land. This is going to be our template or our canvas. Okay, so this is going to be the physical land. So what we're going to do here is now I'm going to click on the command. Okay, and we get a couple of different options for creating a topo surface. Okay, I'll talk very briefly about this one here, which says create from import. Okay, and this is where if you've got a really good CAD file and you've got a surveyor that really listens to you and can set up CAD files exactly as you need, so we can bring in a CAD file. They would have already assigned Z values to all of their points and contours, etc. And we can go create from import, and Revit should build the topo surface immediately. In my experience, even with the best surveyors, I'm never 100% satisfied with the information they've given me, so I generally just grind it out, and I'll build a topo surface by placing points. Okay, so that's the differential there. Okay, so I'm just going to build this. We've only got 4 points. It's an easy thing to do. Okay, so place points. So while I'm in there, as you can see, if you zoom in, you can see there's a little black square chasing my cursor. So that's our point marker. Okay, now what I want to do here is we need to do a little bit of calculating. Okay. Now, in the last one I may have mentioned, okay, these reduced levels are measured in meters. That's the standard unit of measurement for a surveyor. Okay, because they're generally measuring, meters above sea level, etc. Okay. Now, that's that one there. Okay, so that's meters. Revit deals in millimeters unless we tell it otherwise. So what we need to do is just a very quick calculation. So I'm just going to jump in here. Very quick conversion. It's dead easy. So I'm going to take my 100.10. I'll be literal about this. So that's my meters. Okay, 1000 millimeters per meter. So I'm just going to go multiply that by 1000 equals. 100,100 millimeters. I know it sounds very simple, but it's really important that we get those numbers correct. Okay, so 100, 100. Now what I can do in my elevation here is I can go 100, 100. There we go. No. I sometimes just tap enter just to make sure it's okay. Right, so this point, this little black dot now is going to sit 100.1 meters above ground level. So click on that, left click, and that one there is the same one there. So I can go left click on that. So these two are on the same plane. Over here we've got 100.8. So I just need to go into my elevation here in my options bar. Just change that to 800 millimeters. Just a little quick enter there. Left click. Rightio, zoom down. Oh look, we can see things happening. Soon as Revit gets 3 points, it can make a solid. You know, triangle's the simplest solid we can make. So 1, 2, 3, it can make those points. Okay, the last one there is 100.4. Enter, and left click and drop that point in there. Okay, so don't worry about too much what's going on here. This is the earth hatch that Revit comes with by default. A little bit different to what we're used to in Australia, but you can adapt it. That's another lesson. So I've placed our 4 points. Okay, now I'm just going to click the tick to finish the surface. Okay, let's not stress too much about how it looks right now. Okay, best way to see the topo surface is to go into 3D. Okay, now another little trick here, because we can see 2 things, but which one's correct? Okay, so we've got visual styles here. So if we go down the bottom here, we've got our visual styles. And at the moment we've been dealing predominantly in hidden line, okay, which is basically the drafting view, so black and white. If I left click on there, it gives me some different options as to how we look at Revit. So a nice one to use is called consistent colors. Okay, so it gives us solid fills, okay, without shadow, etc., and it's a lot easier to deal with. Okay, so you can see color, but it's not going to tax your computer in any major way. Okay, so we're almost done. So there's the elevate, there's the thing there. Let's check this in some elevations. Okay, so have a look at our east elevation. Okay, so you can see like our site is up here, yet our site information or our template's down here. Okay, so the next video we're going to modify all this. So, but let's see if we can pick up the north elevation. If I zoom in, and again go back into consistent colors, we can see how this is behaving. So there's the top of the elevation, so that's the 100.8, 100.4 side, and that's our 100.1. Go to the south elevation. Okay, so the visual styles are view dependent, so whatever viewer you're in, you've got to basically set it. There is another option where we go, if we go to the top there, view templates, we can set all that up later on. Okay, but that's the bones of it. So there we have our, this is our CAD file, okay, and that's sitting at ground level, so that's sitting at 0.0, and now this is sitting at 100.1. Now, in a general, before I go, this is a common thing with what surveys do in Australia. Okay, so they use this 100 meters as an arbitrary datum or a benchmark. Okay, generally, if you're doing 2D stuff, it's not a problem. With Revit, it can be a little bit of a nuisance. So what I ask my surveyors before they're engaged to do a particular job is I ask them to set the datum at around about 10 meters. Okay, and what that does is that brings this all the way down here. Okay, a little bit more in line with my my expectations of where a site is. If the project is to Australian height datum, i.e. it's measured directly off average sea levels, etc., then we have to run with that exactly as it is. But like I said, most surveyors, if you ask them to measure in a particular datum, they're more than happy to do it. I don't even think they really charge any extra for it either. It's just a number to them. Righty ho. Now, we'll catch you later. That's basically the bones of creating a simple topo surface. In the next lesson, we need to get our levels in the right place. See, we need to get our levels from there to there. Okay, and maybe start marking out where we can site a house. So we're going to introduce reference planes. Okay, we will see you later.